Hello everyone, this is SD Parmar and again you all are welcome to my YouTube channel. And last time what we had started about the biological classification of organism, today we will continue with the same topic. And last time what we have discussed, that was why was it necessary to classify the organisms. Now today we will discuss that how these organisms were classified, means the basis on which the organisms were categorized. So as I had told you that so many biologists were working on this concept for the classification of organisms, in which different kind of classification methods were there. So at first the classification which was done, that was the artificial system of classification, which was given by Aristotle in 350 BC. So what did Aristotle do? That was he had used a very simple criteria for the classification of organisms. Means he had took only very less number of criteria, like 2 or 3 criteria only, like habitat of organisms or mode of nutrition, and the most important thing what he used, that was the presence or absence of RBCs. And we know that right now on the earth the broadly categorized 2 kingdom are plants and animal. Rather than this thing also, this another 3 kingdoms are there, Monera, Protista and fungi, but that had come after long time. Means each and every biologist who had worked on this concept were having some disadvantages, and that is why classification system, the study of classification went on further and further, and at last right now what we people have been accepting, that classification was given us from Robert Whittaker. That was the 5 kingdom classification. So at first the organisms were broadly categorized into 2 categories only, that were plants and animals, by Aristotle using artificial system of classification. And in this the main criteria which was used, that was the presence or absence of RBCs. Means the organisms who are having RBCs, they were kept into plant kingdom, where the organisms who are not having RBCs, they were kept into the animal kingdom, and plants were categorized into small another subclasses like herb, shrubs and trees. But this classification system was having so many demerits, because as we know that even though the organisms are into same kingdom, they are having still so many dissimilarities among them. Like we take an example of some marine organisms, like marine means aquatic organism, so the habitat is same, but in marine life small fishes and well, they are having so much dissimilarity. Still Aristotle had kept them into same group only. Means these organisms are not closely related, so many dissimilarities were there. So that is why, due to this all demerits, Aristotle's classification was not so much convenient to study the evolutionary relationship, because our purpose was this only, we wanted to know about the evolutions of organisms, how we have existed, or what was the theme by which microorganism to this much complex animals have come, how we people have modified our life cycle, or which kind of adaptations we had done in the past life, as well as right now also so many modifications we people are doing. And last time only I had told you that in upcoming future might be some new kingdom could also be arise. So this was the problems. Aristotle classification system was not satisfactory, so it was not accepted, and study went further. The second classification system came, that was the natural classification system. Natural classification system was having some advantages in comparison of Aristotle's classification. Like the natural system of classification was having first benefit, that it was based on the natural similarities and dissimilarities of organisms. So due to this criteria, it was very much easy for biologists to understand the natural interrelationship between the heterogeneous organisms, and as well as it was also so much benefited to understand the giving and taking, means the exchange for anything like nutrition, shelter. So these all similarities and dissimilarities were so much benefited for scientists to study about the organisms with the help of natural system of classification. Another thing was that the organisms were placed in the different kind of grouping which were closely related to each other. Means, as we are talking that they were naturally similar or dissimilar, this criterion was the important criterion. So on the basis of things, the organisms who were closely related, they were kept into the same groups only. So natural system of classification was quite advantageous in comparison of artificial classification system, but still it was not showing us all the merits, all the convenient steps to understand the evolution of organism. And that is why then after Carl Linnaeus came, who also studied about the classification system, and Carolus Linnaeus is known as father of classification. Carolus Linnaeus also categorized organisms into two categories only, plant and animal. Like we can say that till human being was not having any idea about the organisms who are living, but we cannot see them. That means in that time might be something would be like that due to the lack of those instruments. Right? Means microscope, we are not able to identify the organisms, or we cannot judge the existence of other organisms whom we cannot see by our naked eye. So that is why probably the classification system was classifying organism into two groups only, plants and animals. But actually rather than plants and animals also, so many organisms are there who are existing on earth. So no doubt Carolus Linnaeus tried to explain us so many things regarding plants and animals, why he had categorized these organisms, which was quite better than artificial as well as natural system of classification. But still so many demerits were there about also the classification system of Carolus Linnaeus. So that is why we had to move on further, like 3 kingdom classification, then after 4 kingdom classification, and then after also the 5 kingdom classification. Till today what we people are using the 5 kingdom classification system. So before going on, we will first discuss about the demerits of Carolus Linnaeus classification system, because if Carolus Linnaeus was having some disadvantages into his classification system, that was the only reason that why did we further move for 3 kingdom and 4 kingdom classification system. So let's the last thing what Carolus Linnaeus classification was shown, that was the debate concept of virus. Even accepting virus also, some other reasons were also there because of what Carolus Linnaeus classification was not accepted, like Euglena. Euglena is the broad species which is having different kind of euglenoids. Some who are having Carolus Linnaeus classification, why was it not satisfactory for biologists? there are some criteria, like as we have discussed, that only Plantae and Animalia, two kingdoms were there in which organisms were classified even by Carolus Linnaeus, the father of classification. But Carolus Linnaeus had kept the non-photosynthetic prokaryotes also into Plantae only. Whether in animals, so many different species are there, like unicellular protozoans are there, whether macroscopic metazoans are there, everyone was kept into animal kingdom only. There was not any explanation regarding some organisms who are having much dissimilarities, having some distinct characters. Like example, we can take Euglena. We know that so many euglenoids are having photosynthetic pigment, so they are having ability to undergo through photosynthesis, but this was not explained by Carolus Linnaeus. Euglena are also having some kind of dissimilarities in its own species regarding the character of digestion. Some euglenids are holozoic in digestion, means they take intracellular digestive process, whether some are saprophytic, they are having extracellular digestive process. Fungi are multinucleated and non-photosynthetic organism, but fungi were also kept with Plantae only. So that was the very much dissimilar property of fungi, because it is not autotrophic organism. Bacteria and cyanobacteria, they are having so many similar characters. Still, that was not explained by Carolus Linnaeus, why cyanobacteria are having photosynthetic pigment and still they are like bacteria. So that was also one demerit. And the most important character, which is still also topic of debate, as we had discussed earlier about the viruses, it is still confusing only the whether we should keep it into living organism or non-living organism. So these all were the things why biologists did not accept the classification given by Carolus Linnaeus. But each and every classification system was benefited to study about the further characters, because when we are studying something, the negative points or the demerit which was declared by the further scientist, it would be benefited to the upcoming scientist to consider these demerits for reduction of the mistakes, for the avoidance of the inconveniency. So that is why this all the classification system have kept into history, because they were the basis of main classification system. After Carolus Linnaeus, the classification system was a little bit increased on the basis of the categories were three categories now: Plantae, Animalia, and the third category which was included, that was Protista. And this classification system was given by Ernest Haeckel. Means after Carolus Linnaeus, three kingdom classification system was given by Ernest Haeckel, and in which organisms were classified into three groups: Plantae, Animalia, and Protista. But still it was also not convenient to understand all the evolutionary steps as well as the phylogenetic relationship, the interrelationship. That's why the classification studies went on, and then came Copeland, who gave us four kingdom classification. The three kingdoms were as it is only: Plantae, Animalia, and Protista. The fourth kingdom which was added, that was the Monera. Monera means microscopic organisms, whom we call bacteria. Means all the prokaryotes, unicellular microscopic organisms were kept from, they were taken out from Plantae and they were kept into the separate kingdom called Monera. But still there was a confusion between Monera and fungi and some unicellular protozoans. So that's why this classification system was also not 100% convenient for understanding of evolutionary steps. So that is why the study went on, and at last came Robert Whittaker in 1970s or 69 around. Robert Whittaker gave the 5 kingdom classification, which still today we people are following only in biology. The classification system given by Robert Whittaker is known as five kingdom classification system. So the four kingdom was as it is only, which was given by Copeland. Means if we start from the first classification system, Aristotle, means artificial, Plantae and Animalia, that was as it is in natural only, Plantae and Animalia. Carolus Linnaeus also kept same only, Plantae and Animalia. Then came Ernest Haeckel, three kingdom classification, Plantae, Animalia, Protista. Then came Copeland, who gave us the fourth kingdom, Monera. And then came Whittaker, who separated Monera and fungi from each other. So right now we are having five kingdom of classification, that is Plantae, Animalia, Monera, Protista and fungi. So this is the convenient classification. Till today we people have been studying this only. In upcoming future might be we will be having sixth kingdom, but I cannot tell you that is 100%. This is my own thinking, that it could happen also. So rather than discussing these all things, let's discuss about the all five kingdoms given by Robert Whittaker. So Whittaker's five kingdom classification system, and as we had discussed above, that different scientists were studying for the classification of organisms, and at last we got the convenient classification by Robert Whittaker. And this classification system was based on the mode of nutrition, their cellular organization, the phylogenetic relationship, evolutionary steps. So in short, here all the criteria which were not cleared by other classification system were very nicely explained by Whittaker. And the five kingdom what Whittaker has given us were Monera, Protista, fungi, and the biggest kingdoms of multicellular autotrophs and multicellular heterotrophs. So this was the classification system given by Robert Whittaker, the five kingdom classification system. And till today we people have been studying this classification system only. So as here we have written down the points on the basis of the cellular organization. All the moneras, means all the unicellular prokaryotes, they were kept into Monera. And we know that who are the unicellular prokaryotes? The bacterias. Protista, they were also unicellular but heterotrophic organisms. They were not photosynthetic. So what did Robert Whittaker do? Earlier classification, like in Aristotle, fungi, then bacteria, protozoans, they were merged only. Here he had classified the unicellular animals into Protista or protozoa, and fungi he gave the separate class for all the fungi. Then comes, sorry for this, fungi. Fungi is non-photosynthetic. It is heterotrophic, means parasitism mode of nutrition. That also we will mention here. The parasitism mode of nutrition is whether these are also heteroparasites. Parasitism, absorption type of nutrition. Plantae, all the green pigmented plants, all herbs, shrubs, trees, everything who are photosynthetic. And this is the only kingdom who is autotrophic. And here comes heterotrophic, multicellular organism, and in heterotrophic multicellular organism in animal kingdom we have learned chordates and non-chordates. All we include the heterotrophism also of so many different types. It could be symbiotic, then holozoic, saprozoic, all kind of heterotrophism was seen over here. So this was the 5 kingdom classification given by Robert Whittaker, and the 5 kingdoms are Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. Now earlier what we had seen that so many biologists came who were studying about who were studying about classification of organisms, and in this Aristotle gave us only 2, Plantae and Animalia, on the basis of their presence of RBCs and non-RBCs, means WBCs. Then after natural system, the same was their plants and animals only. Carolus Linnaeus, the father of classification, also gave us 2 kingdom, only plants and animals. Then came Ernest Haeckel, who gave us 3 kingdom. Copeland came, who gave us 4 kingdom, but everybody was having some kind of confusion of the concepts, which were not making the classification too much clear, convenient to understand the phylogenetic relationship, evolutionary step. These all concepts were very much explained, nicely examined. It was easy for people to understand the interrelationship persisting among organisms, as well as their cellular organization and mode of nutrition with this kingdom 5 kingdom classification system. So Whittaker's 5 kingdom classification was much better in comparison of further 4 classification systems. And other thing was that it was also making us clear with the confusing concept of fungi, because in earlier classification system fungi was kept with Plantae only, but as we know that fungi is non-photosynthetic, so Whittaker has given us the separate kingdom for fungi. So the criteria of fungi can be studied very easily, but still some confusions are there. Right now also so many fungal species are like that which are non-studied completely. Around 1 million fungi are there. From of around only 60 to 70,000 fungal species have been studied only. So this mycology is still having some confusion, but still in comparison of other classification system, Whittaker had tried it to make clear. Next was the classification was also convenient to understand the clear evolutionary steps, how microorganism to macroorganisms, means from bacteria to mammals, the higher complex organism, how we have been evolved. That was also very clearly understood by this classification system. So that is why in comparison of other classification system, Robert Whittaker's 5 kingdom classification system was quite convenient to understand the phylogeneity, and that is why till today we are using this classification system only. Now one by one we will study about the classes of this classification system, and the first class what we are going to study is Monera. So rather than having so many explanations, criteria, so many explanatory criteria, Whittaker's 5 kingdom classification is also having some demerits, which is still the concepts of debate, which is still points of confusion, like dinoflagellates. They are not mesokaryotic and they have placed into Protista, and viruses are yet not clear whether they are living, non-living. They should be kept into microorganisms or some another specific kingdom should be given to viruses. So yet the evolution of virus or the classification of virus is already done, but still about everything viruses is still the concept of confusion and debate only for biologists. So Whittaker was also failed to explain about viruses. Then fungi, plantae and animalia, the broad groups, the complex groups were kind of polyphyletic relationship. Polyphyletic relationship means the organisms who have been evolved quite kind of same ancestors. So it might be like that this three kingdom should be having place in the same taxons, but here it is not done, so that is also point of confusion only, but it is still quite better than other classification system, but still some demerits are there. So rather than thinking about the demerits, we will move on to one by one classes given by Whittaker. And the first kingdom is Monera, what we are going to study here. So the common points of Monera, we call them prokaryotes. Prokaryotes माने primitive organisms, non well developed nucleus, means they are not having all organelles like eukaryotic organisms, still they are developing, they are not yet well developed. Then they are definitely unicellular, microscopic organisms, we cannot see them by our naked eyes, so that is also one point. Another, they are parasites, they are non-photosynthetic, and study of the examples are all bacteria, and study of bacteria is called bacteriology. Okay, so the first character about bacteria we need to study here is their shapes. So on the actually before going on the shape, one more thing I think we should discuss over here, their classification of bacteria if we want to do now. So there are bacteria have been classified broadly into two categories, gram positive and gram negative. Need to change the marker, gram positive and gram negative. So bacteria were classified into main two groups, gram positive and gram negative. Scientist Hans Gram Christian had developed a staining technique on the basis of presence of layer of peptidoglycan on in the cell wall of bacteria, and how this peptidoglycan layer is getting stained. The stains could be used as gram stain itself, safranin, fuchsin stain, or Lugol's iodine. Like the stains which were used for the bacterial staining, bacterial cell staining, is gram stain is broadly used, or fuchsin stain, safranin, Lugol's iodine. So as we know that in this cell wall of bacteria, it is made up of peptidoglycan, which is heteropolysaccharide. Peptidoglycan layer is there in a composition of bacterial cell wall. So when the bacterial cells are getting stained with gram stain or any of this stain, what will happen? If the bacterial cell is having thick layer of peptidoglycan, then it will be stained violet or bluish. So the bacteria who are having thick peptidoglycan layer sorry, they were classified as gram positive bacteria, whether the thin peptidoglycan layer, it would be washed away by addition of ethanol. It would be washed away by ethanol, so that is why they were kept into gram negative and these were kept into gram positive. So this way Gram had classified peptidoglycan, and the bacteria whom we can see to the into gram stain after staining under the microscope. So this would be looked like the bunch of grapes we call coccus, and this would be like bacillus. So these were the classification of bacteria. Now properties of bacteria we will see, in which we have seen the classification. Second was cell wall. The third thing we are going to see are the different shapes of bacteria, and the first shape is coccus, or also we call them cocci, singular plural, bunch of grapes type of microorganism. And they could be either monococcus, means only one, dicoccus, two will be there together, tetracoccus in the group of four, streptococcus, that is kind of sheet type of structure, filamentous sheets, and no, it is filamentous, sorry, streptococcus is filamentous, whether staphylococcus is a sheet type of structure. So these are the shapes of bacteria of specially coccus. The second shape, rod shaped bacteria, the gram negative bacteria, rod shaped bacteria are bacillus. They could be monobacilli, means only a single rod, or into two pairs, chain type of bacillus. The very common example we can take is Bacillus megaterium. This is monobacilli, dibacilli, chain type of bacillus. The example is Bacillus megaterium. Then spirochetes, spiral bacteria which presents in our teeth cavity, so that is spirochetes. Then vibrio comma shaped होते हैं, this shape vibrio, and so these are the shapes of Monera, means bacteria. So the standard bacterial cell, if we want to draw, we can represent it like this. This is the cell wall of bacteria. Then comes plasma membrane, the nucleus, some of the cell organelles which is present in the cell. This hair-like structure we can call them pili, and this is the flagella. Now let's talk about the other properties of bacterial cell, in which first is the cell wall. As we have discussed already, the cell wall of bacteria is made up of peptidoglycan. The cell wall is the outer covering of bacterial cell, and it is responsible for mechanical strength, rigidity, support, size and shape of bacterial cell. On the basis of peptidoglycan content of cell wall, bacteria have been classified into two groups, gram positive and gram negative. Second, after cell wall, below this cell wall, the structure present is called cell membrane, and the cell membrane is enclosed into the cytoplasm. Means we can say that cell membrane and nucleus, between the cell wall and nucleus, the cytoplasm is the fluidic structure in which the organelles are embedded. So the cell membrane is the layer who is responsible for separation of cell wall from cytoplasm, and it is also having some cellular content. It is specially lipid and protein serving component. Means cell membrane is made up of lipidic and proteinic layers in its composition. Then comes pili. This structure, which is thin thread like structure, is called pili, which is projected out from the cell wall in some bacterial species, not in all bacterial species, and its common function is movement of bacterial cell. Then comes flagella. It is also responsible for movement only, but flagella quite thicker in comparison of pili, and it is a structure like a hollow rod type structure. Suppose we want to make a flagella, we can draw it something like this, and flagella could be either one or two in each bacterial cell, and the arrangement could be of 9 plus 1 tubule. So 9 microtubules plus 1 microtubule. This arrangement could be there in flagella of any bacterial cell. Then the bacterial genomic material, and we know that rather than viruses, all the other organisms are having DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, as their genomic material. So bacteria are also having DNA as their genomic material. It is type of the circular chromosome having double stranded DNA, and rather than DNA, here some another extra chromosomal genomic material is also there. It is the ring type of DNAs, which is called plasmid, and plasmid is having very much unique characters in bacterial cell. It is having some antibiotic resistant genes as well as sex factors. So plasmid could be served as a vector, and this thing we can discuss in vast details when we will study biotechnology. So this much properties are the bacterial cells. Prior properties we should understand about the kingdom Monera. So next criteria in a Monera kingdom is nutrition or respiration of bacteria. So bacterial nutrition could be of 5 different types. Nutrition is there, that is autotrophs, chemotrophs, saprophytic, parasites, and symbiotic. So these are the bacterial nutritions: chemotrophs, autotrophs, saprophytic, parasitic and symbiotic. One by one each and every examples here we will see. So autotrophs organism, definitely we can understand from the terminology only. The cyanobacteria, they have photosynthetic pigment, so they undergo through photosynthetic mechanism and produce their own energy currency. So they are autotrophs. In autotrophs, another thing we need to understand is they are also able to synthesize their organic food via photosynthetic phenomenon, and the examples are spirulina. or cyanobacteria, also we call parasitism. From the name only we can understand they depend on the host organism. They enter into host organism's body, absorb nutrition from their body, and they also harm they are disease creating microorganism. Chemotrophs are the bacteria who carry out chemical reactions, and from these chemical reactions they derive energy. And the very good example of chemotrophs are Azotobacters, then Rhizobiums, Clostridium. Like Azotobacter is having ability to fix the nitrogen released from lightning, and it fix it into the soil. So the example of chemotrophs are nitrogen fixing bacteria. Same symbiotic organism also we can take Rhizobium bacteria. We know that Rhizobium bacteria, they survive at the root nodules of legume plant. Suppose this is a legume plant, a pea plant, it is a legume plant, gram plant is the legume plant. So all the legume plants are having root nodules on its roots, and here on the root nodule the Rhizobium bacteria, they get deposited, and the sphere over where the soil and the root nodule gets, they come in interaction with each other. Over there this bacteria get deposited. So this sphere is called rhizosphere, and over where this bacteria are deposited, all this bacteria we call them Rhizobium. Like Azotobacter, what do? The nitrogen which is getting released from lightning, this bacteria trap this nitrogen and fix it into the soil. So plant would be having completion of its nutrition requirement of nitrogen, whether bacteria will be having completion of the requirement of shelter. So this way in mutualism they are living. So example of symbiotic bacteria are Rhizobium bacteria. Saprophytic are those bacteria who live on dead and decaying material. So decomposers type also we can say. Respiration of bacteria could be of two type, either aerobic or anaerobic. Means the bacteria who have ability to live in the presence of oxygen, it is called aerobic bacteria, and anaerobic. If the oxygen is present, they will take it. If it is not present, then also they will survive without oxygen. So this kind of bacteria called anaerobic bacteria. So these are the nutrition and respiration of bacteria. So next property is reproduction of bacteria, and bacterial cell could be reproduced either by sexual reproduction or asexual reproduction. Generally sexual reproduction is quite difficult, or not impossible, but a lot difficult in bacterial cell, because we know that in sexual reproduction male and female two gametes are required, and bacteria is a unicellular primitive organism. So here differentiation of male and female gamete is quite not yet found. It's not evoluted till male and female gamete, but here sexual reproduction happens via transfer or exchange of their DNA material, and their exchange of DNA material could go through via three different phenomena, which are conjugation, transformation and transduction. So in conjugation what happens, the DNA gets transferred from one bacterium to another bacterium via extension of their outer surface. So by the diagram, if you want to understand, suppose this is a bacterial cell and this is the ring circular DNA, and the surface is getting extended, something like this, and this extension is making one bridge kind of structure between two bacterium. So this DNA could transfer from one bacterium to another bacterium, and this kind of transfer of DNA or exchange of DNA is called conjugation type of sexual reproduction of bacteria. With the transformation, here in transformation whole DNA will not be exchanged, but pieces of DNA will be transferred via environmental factors. Third is transduction. It is the process in which viruses play their role, and this viruses also known as interference. How does this process happens? That we will see. Suppose this is any bacterial cell, and on this bacterial cell any virus has been deposited. Now this virus will release its genome, either DNA or RNA, into this bacterium, and after releasing its DNA into its DNA or RNA into bacteria, it will start to be replicate. So the bacterium cell will be now the place for the replication of virus, means the host cell will be destroyed and the viruses will be there. After completion of its own replication, the viruses break the cell, destroy the cell, and they will be get released from that bacterium. And now when it will deposited into some on the surface of some another bacteria and release that DNA, this kind of transformation is called transduction. Means once it will be deposited on one bacterial cell, it will release its own genome to this bacteria, then it will be multiplicated or replicate into number, and then after it will destroy this host bacterium cell, and then after breaking down the cell of bacteria, it will be released into environment, and then after it will find some another host cell, it will again get deposit over there and release the DNA. So with its own genome, the bacterial genome will be also transformed. So this is called transduction kind of sexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction is very easy process. Asexual reproduction could be happen by binary fission, in which the bacterial cell gets double in number. So that is called binary fission. So this is the reproduction of bacteria. Rather than this, another thing about kingdom Monera here we need to discuss is one specific group cyanobacteria, and one more species or one more kind of organism which called mycoplasma. So cyanobacteria, actually earlier cyanobacteria were named as blue green alga, and later on it has been named as cyanobacteria. There are some criteria which makes some difference between bacteria and cyanobacteria, even though they are moneras only. So the differences are bacterial cells are micro, and cyanobacterial cells are quite larger than bacterial cells. Bacterial cells, some species could have flagella, whether cyanobacteria at all do not have flagella. Bacteria are some of them only photosynthesize, and in this photosynthesis they do not release oxygen. Whether cyanobacteria, they all are photosynthetic like green plant only. The manner of photosynthesis is same, which is the standard manner in which oxygen is getting released. Another thing about bacteria we need to discuss is Monera kingdom has been categorized into again two more groups, that is Archaebacteria and Eubacteria. So some of the bacterial species are like that, who are having ability to live in some diverse environment, or we could say the extreme environment. So these bacteria are included into Archaebacteria, and Archaebacteria are again having three subtypes like halophiles, thermoacidophiles and methanogens. So halophiles are the bacteria who are having ability to live in extreme saline environment. So that is why they are also named as salt loving bacteria. Whether thermoacidophiles are the bacteria who are having adaptation to live in hot springs. Hot springs mean the high temperature, even in magma they can live. So they are classified as thermoacidophiles from from Archaebacteria. And methanogens are having ability to convert, I should not say convert, but produce methane gas from animal dung, ruminant dung. So they have called as methanogens. So Archaebacteria are having these three groups, and the second group of Monera means Eubacteria. is having also again three categories, that is photoautotrophs, chemosynthetic autotrophs and heterotrophs. Photoautotrophs are those organisms who are having ability to be photosynthesized, and here they are like cyanobacteria, and examples are nostoc and Anabaena. But these organisms, they can form the algal bloom in a polluted area, means any river, not in river but specifically in the pond. The layer of the ponds which is very much dirty water bodies, on the layer of this dirty water body, if they are making one green algae type whole sheet type of layer which is named as algal bloom. So this Anabaena in nostoc are quite kept in photoautotrophs of eubacteria of Monera kingdom. And the second eubacteria are chemosynthetic organisms who are having ability to use or to oxidize inorganic compounds like nitrate, nitrites, ammonias for their own ATP production. So they are oxidizing bacteria, and we have kept them into chemosynthetic autotrophs into eubacteria of Monera kingdom. And the third eubacteria is heterotrophs, and earlier also heterotrophs we have discussed only, like lactobacillus. They live in our small intestine. They are having ability to convert milk into curd by conversion of lactose sugar into lactic acid, as well as methanogens. Also we can take a example of heterotrophs only. They are also living on dead and decaying material, and all the parasites, pathogenic bacteria means disease causing organism, they also heterotrophs means kind of parasitic organism. So these all things is about kingdom Monera. What we have discussed like difference of cyanobacteria, bacteria, harmful effect of bacteria or advantages of bacteria, that is also one important point here we need to discuss. So whether bacteria are our friend or foe, that is also one point to be included over here, because there are some positive points we can consider into our life which is favorable by bacteria to us, whether some of the harmful effects also there which is creating by bacteria to our life. So bacteria are the organism who could be named as our friend and foe both. So the harmful effects of bacteria, first we know that is the food spoilage and all, but the most dangerous thing which is the harmful effect of bacteria is the disease. Many of the diseases are caused by bacterial species, like tuberculosis by Mycobacterium tuberculosis, then Clostridium tetani responsible for tetanus. Typhoid is caused by Salmonella typhi. Vibrio cholerae causes cholera. But rather than these all diseases, bacteria are also responsible for some applications in our economy as well as in our regular life, like Streptomyces bacteria. From of that only we have developed the antibiotic streptomycin, which is also benefited a lot to us, as well as Lactobacillus bacteria responsible for curd making, so having good economic effect, good economic applications into fermentation industry, wine industry. Then methanogens responsible for sewage treatment, and all those who are decomposers, they are responsible for conversion of inorganic matter into simpler form. This again get mixes with atmosphere, which is benefited to us only. So these all are also good effects which is created by bacteria, which is benefited to us. The last thing about Monera kingdom I want to tell, that is mycoplasma. Mycoplasma also named as PPLO, meaning pleuropneumonia like structure, which is the smallest microorganism of kingdom Monera. So this was all things about kingdom Monera, along with 5 types of classification given by Aristotle, that was artificial system, then natural system, then after Carolus Linnaeus 2 kingdom, Ernest Haeckel's 3 kingdom, Copland 4 kingdom, and fifth one was Whittaker's 5 kingdom classification. All we have discussed, and the first kingdom of Whittaker's classification, Monera, we have completed over here. I hope you have understand these all things, and please like.